The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here. Inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the Greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. I'm Ari. That's Niko with the new background. And we've got a great show for you all here this morning. The Seattle Sounders are one of the hottest teams in Major League Soccer. Danny Musovski is the second hottest, number 9 in Major League Soccer, behind the incomparable Brian White. And Ryan Kent might just be the greatest player alive. 4-1 over St. Louis City SC in Matchday 11. And I don't even think that encapsulates how dominant a performance that was from the Seattle Sounders. That was about as dominant as I've seen them look in the last, couple years. So a lot of encouraging things to take away from this game as they enter a road-heavy stretch of the season here. The squad is flying high. Niko, I'm dying to hear your thoughts on this one. So we're going to get into Ryan Kent and the fine points of it. But to kick us off here, why don't you just give your thoughts on what you saw in this dominant victory over St. Louis at Lumen Field?
Yeah, for starters, I just think that it was without a doubt the Sounders' best performance from start to finish of 2025. I thought that even in the first half, although they weren't able to get more goals and there was a lot of half chances that were at times maybe either caused by a bad pass or a wrong decision or maybe rushing things a little bit, the fluidity of the game, the patterns of the passing, the triangles, the tight space movements. I just thought that it was only a matter of time before the Sounders were gonna eventually get there and score the goals, and that's what happened in the second half. I thought that both Christian Roldan and Obed were fantastic. Obed was my man of the match, but that doesn't happen if he doesn't have a guy like Christian Roldan right next to him, doing all the dirty work, making sure that he has the liberty to get forward, cut enough space when he had to. I thought that they did a great job at minimizing Hartle, minimizing Toichert. I thought that, as we had mentioned going into this game, although St. Louis City is a good team and they're a defensive team that had a very good defense. And that was the whole point of this game, is that it was going to be difficult. They were going to play deep. They were going to have to, Seattle was going to have to break them down. I thought that they did it perfectly. And on the defensive side, I thought that whatever St. Louis could do kind of played to Seattle's strengths. And that was just out there. I think the 4-2-3-1 is back and is here to stay. I thought that the build-out was better. I thought that, and I think Brian concurred with what I said and what I have been saying all along, is that in the 4-2-3-1, there's a lot more simple decisions. The game is simplified a little bit. And you saw that in this one. I thought that in transition, even when they weren't able to get a full-on chance, it was just quicker. It seemed to just go and be a better setup for a guy like Paul Rothrock that in this one was able to just stay higher upfield. And I thought Paul Rothrock was, a nightmare all first half, right? I think Alex Roldan coming back in his first game was very good. So when we're talking about competition, I think competition has heightened the level that each player, once they come in, they feel like they have to earn those minutes. They have to play at their best. And that's kind of what you saw. So all in all, without talking about the players that we are eventually going to talk about, like Ryan Kent, Danny Musovski, 4 consecutive goals. Still the same limited player, still a guy that, at times in the first half, he misses a very clear opportunity, but he continues to get forward. He is so committed to get into those spaces that eventually pays off. And he actually puts away the more difficult opportunity in a very good assist by Nouhou, who was also a highlight in this one. All in all, I just think that every single player for the Seattle Sounders was very good. And although St. Louis City is not the most offensive team, you still got to credit what the Sounders did in order to be able to put 4 on a very good defensive squad.
That's not an easy team to break down like that and slice and dice like that. For whatever limitations they've had offensively this year, they came into this match, I think, having conceded the fewest goals in the Western Conference, maybe even in the league. It was something like they had scored 7 goals and given up 8. So I think that was another encouraging sign that Seattle was playing a team like that was going to set up like that at home, and they diced them up. So they're going to need to do that at home. They haven't done that as effectively at home, I would say, honestly, in the last couple years. So that was great to see. Before we get to the star of the show, which was Ryan Kent, let's talk about the second star of the show, which was Nouhou. I think this might have been the most complete Nouhou game of his career when you're talking about two-way impact. I know for a fact he's never gotten on the stat sheet twice in one game. He really could have had 2 assists. Niko, what's gotten into him? Has he finally, after all these years, developed a consistent attacking facet of his game? Is he going to be getting on this? Was this an outlier, or is Nouhou actually developing here at age 27 in like his 9th year in MLS?
I think he is developing. I think that his decision making and his service on the ball in this one were particularly good. There is that little chip pass that he puts into Musovski that usually Nouhou would just hit it hard and try to, maybe put so much strength in it that he might just ricochet into the goal, or maybe he just shanks it, or he just overpasses it. But you could tell that he slows it down, he hits it perfectly, and he puts a great ball in. So I have seen progress even at the Nashville game where he wasn't as sharp, but you could tell that when he's selectively getting forward, he's a lot more mindful of what he's going to do with the ball. He's still the physical specimen that's gonna, get through guys by his speed and his strength. But I feel like there is a different way that he's approaching the game, and he has put a lot of time into being a more technical player. I mean, we've seen him in the training field even trying free kicks, and I'm talking about really practicing free kicks. Like, he sets it up, he hits, 10, 12 shots. I mean, he is clearly trying to diversify what he does as an attacker and how he impacts the game. And you got to applaud that. And I thought that Brian Schmetzer was so on point on the game and after the game, because in the press conference, I thought that he said all the right things. And one thing that I have to agree with him is that Nouhou's in the point of his career that he needs to have this sort of performance consistently, because he has the attributes, he has the physical presence, he has the experience, he's been doing this for a very long time, and this is the type of Nouhou performance that I think is expected from him and that he should be having at this point of his career. And I think that's what's going to happen. That's why I don't think it's an outlier. I think that this is something that Nouhou has been working on, and it's starting to cement itself, and I expect it to continue for the rest of the year.
I mean, that would be huge for this team, honestly. I don't think I had even considered a reality where 2025 became the season where Nouhou actually took a pronounced step forward with that aspect of his game. The whole storyline with Nouhou throughout his career is early on in his career, you had this kid who was a excellent 1v1 defender, super fast, super athletic, can keep up with any other attacker in the league, but had not yet developed that part of his game, that two-way part of his game. And there was a lot of transfer buzz around him that was coming from a place of, if he actually develops that part of his game, this could be like a $10 million plus player that other teams are calling the Seattle Sounders about all the time. And it just, the two-way facet never really developed. He's been a week in, week out starter because of his defensive attributes. If we're seeing him actually consistently become the type of player that we saw in this game, that could unlock even more multifaceted aspects of this attack. And the Nouhou goal in this game was just a great moment. The crowd went absolutely insane, and he was celebrating it. The team and the bench, everyone was going crazy. So that was fun.
He definitely broke the internet. He definitely lifted that atmosphere that was already pretty good throughout the whole game, but he just hit a whole other decibel when he scored. I will say that additionally, from what he did on the wide areas where we typically would see him, I've seen him get even better in the underlaps. There was one option that they had in the first half where usually Nouhou, when he gets the ball on the top of the 18, he's going to just put a crazy shot up and try to, shoot from there. And you and I both know that when Nouhou gets the ball in those areas, you're like, no, don't do it. And he actually, in this one, he kind of fakes that he's going to shoot. He puts a ball to Albert Rusnak. Albert makes a quick pass and he creates an opportunity. And this is all parts of what you just mentioned, that if Nouhou continues to grow as an offensive option, the 4-2-3-1 will be that much more effective. Because if you can rely on Nouhou to be selective and be careful, of course, on when he does those over and those underlaps, there's no longer a need for you to play with the three-man back line and have an all-on wingback, because Nouhou will be able to facilitate some of those, and your wingers can provide all your width. They can focus on just being offensive threats on the flanks, be more ready and positioned in terms of transition play. So, man, Nouhou could really unlock a lot of things for Seattle if he can continue to be this good consistently moving forward.
Do you think he meant to hit that shot, top ends like that, or was that destined for row double V and he got lucky?
That might be a little much, but I just think that he wanted to put pace on it, and he hit it there. I don't think he said, I'm going to put a top corner, but I definitely do think that he said, look, he's either placement or power in this one. I'm going to go power, and you got to give him credit for putting it on frame, because it was a shot that it was not going to get stopped. But I definitely don't think he meant to put a top corner.
It was a class finish, Fox in the box. I mean, this guy put this guy at number 9. Niko, let's talk about the assist provider on that Nouhou goal. Ryan Kent, I mean, wow. That was absolutely electric. Pretty much from the second he stepped on the field, stuff was happening. It was like he had an assist and one of the silkiest, smoothest jukes I've ever seen. I've talked about it like 4 times already, but that one at midfield where he lets it slide past the guy and just leaves him in the dust, that was so good. And really, it just felt like, doesn't it feel like every time he's on the ball, something is happening? The St. Louis City defenders had nothing on him. They couldn't stay in front of him. Every time he was going against 1v1, it was already over with. He gets on the stat sheet twice. And I think for me, the most encouraging thing was the degree to which he seemed to be a force multiplier for every other player on the field. Nouhou looked incredible combining with him. He and Obed already have really good chemistry. Rusnak looked a lot more effective with a player that's that dynamic out wide playing next to him. And really the whole second half, the whole time he was on the field, it was as good an attacking performance as I've seen from the Seattle Sounders in a couple years. Like even when they've been at their best, they haven't looked like a buzzsaw like that. It looked like one of those LAFC teams that we've seen in recent years where it's like every time they get on the ball, a dangerous chance is happening going the other way. It looked like when Inter Miami is at their top level, that's the type of stuff that they can do to teams where they just really overwhelm you. And St. Louis could not withstand that pressure. And I think Ryan Kent was the biggest catalyst for why they were able to play like that. I mean, everyone's talking about this guy right now because of, I mean, his first couple appearances looked good. That was incredible. What have you've been watching him in training every day? What did you make of just how much it elevated the team when he got in this game?
Look, he was a spark plug off the bench, and he was a necessary one because although the team was creating opportunities, he gave them efficiency. What you mentioned in terms of the little dummy play he does at midfield, the fluidity of the move, and it's not an unnecessary flair. It's just field awareness. The ball is coming in with a certain pace. He checked his hip, obviously. He knows that there's a defender coming. Instead of stopping play, cutting around, he lets the ball get right through him. He knows the momentum of the defender is going to put him right past him, and he's behind the player immediately, and picks up his head. He's looking where he's going next. It's just what we have been talking about ever since we saw him at training the very first time. He is purposeful with every single move of the ball. He mentioned after the game that he's just starting to feel like he's getting the legs from under him, that there were times that he feels like he was tripping on the ball. I've never saw it, by the way, but, he said it. I mean, I like the humbleness by Ryan Kent to admit that he's been out of the game for a while in terms of at least competitive play, a year and a half. There's no easy amount of time for you to kind of get back to things. So if there was some rust, man, this game just showed me that it's off. And he agreed that he's finally feeling like he's going to be ready to go. So the IQ is there, the technical ability is there, the talent is there, but the fact that now the physical component is with it, man, I mean, sky's the limit for what he could provide on that left side for the Seattle Sounders. You talked about the way he connected with Nouhou, the way he connected with Obed. I thought that him and Albert were looking always at each other. I think that Ryan Kent is going to be an X factor. He's a game changer. He just showed you he was a game changer. I mean, it is no coincidence that as soon as he comes in, the 3 goals that, kind of definitely put the game away and showed a certain amount of dominance come after he gets on the ball. He should have had another assist as well. That was a missed opportunity. Obed Vargas hits one on the post that, maybe typically he puts away. So he just provides so much this balance, and he's not just willing to go one-on-one just because, right? So I love the fact that he's willing to just take players on, but that's not always his first choice. He's not afraid to drop it back. He's not afraid to switch the ball. I talked about this with guys in the press room. It seems like he's not bothered, or he has no need to feel pressure. Usually a player in his position, with all of the stigma and all of the negativity that he kind of lived through for the last year, and the necessity to revive his career, could present in a circumstance where you're going to be pressured, where you feel like you have to do extra things and you have to try to put the game on your back. But he doesn't. He is so comfortable in just the way he handles the game that I think that's the most impressive thing. That I've never seen Ryan Kent come into a game where he's not confident and he doesn't radiate that confidence to the group, and that he ever feels like he needs to do more than just play the game and be a contributor to whatever point in the game he's in. He said it yesterday. Look, they asked him if, he felt like he needed to be a starter, or, how he handled the competition. He said, look, that sounds like something that you might want to ask the manager. All I can do is just be me, contribute, and continue to play well, take advantage of the minutes. Man, you got to applaud just the way he approaches the game, the professionalism, the confidence. that is just as good as the talent on the field, because intangibles are a huge way to stay on as a sounder for a very long time.
Absolutely. And I mean, like you said, the technical ability, the soccer IQ, the field awareness is off the charts. I can't wait to see this guy play more. I mean, if that was a preview of the type of impact that he can make week in, week out, I don't think many people are going to be wanting to play the Seattle Sounders. It was just very evident how much better he was than the players he was going against. James makes a good point here. I think Kent actually works for him out wide instead of pinching into the number 10 spot, unlike Jesus Ferreira or De La Vega, which I think is true. But he also there were times where he was kind of drifting centrally, but like it was at times where it made sense. And then if there was overlapping going on, he would move, and not try and play that position. So just everything about it was excellent. Niko, anything else you wanted to hit on with Ryan Kent before we keep pushing here?
Well, just to the comment, I mean, look, there are times where, yes, you're going to want your winger to be the widest guy and give you that width. And he does that and he understands the game. But just like you mentioned, and I don't know if it's fair to criticize De La Vega when he plays the wing and he turns inside, because it's part of the concepts that you play in with either one of the setups, either the 4-2-3-1 or the 3-5-2 or the 3-4, whatever it is that the team is working. There's always a fluidity and a change of when you need a guy to come inside and you allow that wing back or you allow that fullback to do those overlaps. But I understand what you're saying. I think that his IQ and his purposefulness on the field is beyond what we've seen out of Ferreira, perhaps, and maybe even Pedro de la Vega, who in this one I thought was a little bit rushed at times. I think that he took a couple of those mid-range shots when maybe he could have passed it. He could have created an opportunity to do that extra pass and perhaps create a better opportunity. So I understand. Just to praise Ryan Kent in general, when I asked him about MLS in general, because he's had a couple of games now, and I wanted to know, in terms of adapting and in terms of what he's seen of the game, he talked about it being more of a side to side, or you have to do a lot of running, basically paraphrasing here, of course. And he said that's where I shine. So I'm interested of seeing how he performs when he does have to do a little bit more defending, when you are playing an LAFC, which is coming up, when you are playing at Timbers, which is coming up. So those are other milestones that I will continue. Checkpoints. They're going to be checkpoints where I'm going to be looking at, okay, how did he do playing against X or playing against Y? Because, yes, I absolutely love what he does offensively. But if he's telling me that he shines and he thrives when he comes to being a two-way player, man, I believe him. And I think under the 4-2-3-1, he'll be able to do so consistently without having to track back so far. So I'm just excited to see beyond what he's already showed us. Everything we talked about is fantastic, but there are still some other aspects of the game that we still need to see, including the physicality component and where he's at. Is he ready for 90? He's ready for 80? All those things as they come along, we'll be able to just judge him a little bit more on that.
Carlos says Kent looked like he was enjoying playing and that fun was contagious to the rest of the team. Exactly. It wasn't just it wasn't just what he was doing on the field. It was like the energy and the vibes that he was bringing. It was contagious. And that's part of what I'm talking about when I'm saying force multiplier. Like it's everything that looked better. And they scored a bunch of goals with it. So that was great to see. Good question from Tom L here in the chat. Niko, I'll kick this one to you. Do you think Ryan Kent will be a Sounder for more than this season? I feel like he wants back to Europe. Hopefully he'll fall in love with the city like so many else and not mind a DP max TAM deal in MLS. I'll just say I think that's that's the biggest thing to be determined going forward. Is this a rental or can they actually keep this guy around? I do know that they would have to do some roster maneuvering to make that happen, because the way they were able to get him was due to the Paul Arriola being placed on the season-ending injury list, right, which takes him off the books, and then that's what opened up the ability to go get Ryan Kent. With Arriola coming back, I think they would need to sell a player in order to free up the space to keep both Paul Arriola and Ryan Kent, which they can do that, but it's not like a situation where they would just be able to keep him with the roster as it's currently constructed because of the salary cap. Niko, how do you see this one?
I think it's too early to tell, but I'll tell you what I know is that it's going to be about whether the Sounders want him back or not. So what you just mentioned in terms of there will be some maneuvering to do when it comes to the roster build, the salary cap, that's all accurate. Obviously, the club has an option on him that they can exercise. And I mean, so far, so good. I would think that they will exercise it.
Exercise that one.
But the reason why I'm saying it's still early is because, once again, I think we've had cameos of him and they've been great. And he seems like he's a guy that's going to be all out an X factor. But let's wait and see as well. I mean, let's not rush into. I mean, I'm excited as anybody, and believe me, since I saw him in the training field, I've been super hyped on him. But at the same time, I know that this is a long season, and that there's a lot of games to be played, and there's tougher competition he's gonna have to face. So if all those things go well, I said exercise it, keep him here for forever. But in terms of what the comment said, I've talked to him off the mics. There is nothing that he said to me that make me believe that he wants back at Europe immediately. He just wants to enjoy the game. He wants to change the scenery. He just got stuck in a Turkish team because of a decision that he made in regards to moving forward and playing under, a different league. And I don't want to call it money driven, but obviously that is a step up from where he was at. And it didn't go his way. And even though he was with Jose Mourinho, a guy that everybody would want to be under, he was unable to play. So I feel like when I talk to him, he still has a bad experience and a bad concept of what Europe gave him. So I have no doubt that he would not mind being with the Sounders for a couple of years, if not longer. He loves the city. He talked about it as well, that London and Seattle, or the area of England where he's from, is kind of like Seattle when it comes to the climate, when it comes to everything. He talked about how great the people were. He talked about the atmosphere and how it is not as negative, or I forget the word he used, when it comes to people just being hackling him, or hackling people. So all of the things he said to me tell me that he wants to remain in MLS, and I believe him.
I think if the vibes stay this good and he's playing like that and the team is playing like that, it's hard to say, but I think there's definitely a possibility that he could decide, like, I'm having a blast. I like living here. I like being on this team. I like playing with these guys. Like, why not stay here? So I think that's a doubly important reason to sustain what they've got going on right now, because I think you got, we'll see how it goes, but I think you got to do whatever you got to do to keep this guy on the team. He looks incredible. Niko, I did want to get your take on this handball, non-handball call. It was a big talk. It was such a bad call that it was a big talking point, even though the team ended up winning 4-1. And it didn't end up mattering, but just for the novelty of how bad it was, I think it's worth talking about. I talked about it on the post-game live. I want to talk about it with you right now. I think it was the worst call I've ever seen. I have no idea how that happens. That's like a very clear breakdown in the process. And really, I think it's worth hitting on the 2 PK calls in the first half, because those were big talking points too. But for me, I don't know about you, but I didn't have as much an issue with those because he did call it both ways. I think they were both arguably soft, but my thing when I saw the St. Louis one get called was like, all right, standard has been set. you need to adhere to that for the rest of this game for both teams. If there's another kind of 50-50 questionable PK call on the Seattle end, you got to call it. Like, that's it. And he did that like 5 minutes later. So I don't know. I thought the first call on Ymar was a little bit soft, but I thought Schmetzer hit it on the head after the game when he said, look, it's a 50-50 call, but Ymar takes a bad angle. I'm not going to let him off the hook for that. I agree. I think it's anytime you make that play as a CB, you're opening yourself up to the ref making that decision. So that one, I guess I can live with that. What I can't live with is this handball call where he misses it on the field. The guy's arm is in an unnatural position. They take way too long to stop play, first of all. He takes way too long to look at it, second of all. And then third, he still misses the call. When we did the post-game live, I hadn't seen the pool reporter explanation. And the explanation was he said that it hit the guy's thigh before hitting the hand. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You even if you think that it might have, you definitely could not clearly and obviously see that on the replay. The replay very clearly showed the arm in an unnatural position with the handball, blocking a shot that was going to go on target, by the way. So, I mean, like I said, doesn't matter. Water under the bridge. I just don't get how that happens. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Look, there's no two ways about it or around it. The refereeing was god awful. And if anything, he was consistently bad for both sides. So I agree with what you said. I think that Ymar is without a doubt, he's got culpability over that PK. I think that if you look over the play, he gets he feels like Christian Roldan is going to get the ball back because Christian Roldan is actually doing a great job at chasing down. I don't know if it's Tozer who has it. No, it's not him. It might have been Hurdle. But whoever is the ball carrier is getting basically intercepted by Christian. And I think that Ymar makes an assumption that Christian will get the ball, and he kind of slows down. And then when that pass comes through, he reacts late. So he reacts late. He takes a bad angle. But when it comes to the foul, I thought that there was no foul because of the way it happened. He puts hands on the shoulder, but he lets go. And the ball carrier still has control and is still moving forward. Then he pokes the ball. And once he sees that the ball is out, he dives. So when you look at that in a VAR, I have a really hard time believing that you're not going to be able to overturn it. But like you said, no big deal. You made a judgment call. You took it the other way. Paul Rothrock's foul was also kind of soft. You know, there's hands to the back. There's some contact in the lower area of the foot. Sure, that's fine. So 2 soft fouls, you're fine. But when it comes to the handball, we looked at it over and over again up in the press box. You were there, Jeremiah and I. We were looking at that thing intensely. I said it 5 times. They have to be looking if ricocheted off the body, because that's the only way, the only reason why they would overturn this or not overturn this, right? If it was not going to be a handball. And we looked at it, there's never a change of direction on the ball. You could tell, you could see if it hits the body, it's going to go a total other way. It never happens. The speed of the ball, the pace of the ball, and the direction of it, the trajectory never changes. That is without a doubt a shot onto the hand that should have been a foul call. We looked at all kinds of angles, the back angle, the side angle, the top angle, and in no way did we ever see the ball change direction. So I'm not sure what Guillermo, this referee,
Lorenzo Hernandez, I don't know what he was looking at. Jeremiah said that he was one of the referees that kind of came through the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. So he just wasn't there. To me, he needs a lot more games, and he just made some bad judgment calls. I thought that he tried to be a protagonist throughout the whole game, was giving everybody yellow cards. You get a yellow card, you get a yellow card, was arguing with the coaches. I mean, I just thought that there was some poor refereeing, and credit to the Sounders that they did not allow that to affect the result of the game, and they did enough to not
have a bad referee and a bad referee take away points, and they did what they had to do to move forward. But it is not an excuse of us being okay with a referee in this level of MLS play to have a horrendous game and not have some sort of repercussion. I really hope that there is something that gets done, because he was god awful.
He should be taken off MLS games for a couple of weeks at least. To me, in my opinion, that's the best recourse. Like, I don't think you fire someone for a missed call, but that whole sequence was botched so horrifically badly that can't happen. That can't happen. That is an easy call. It's an easy call. Everything about it, from how long it took to the final outcome, is just the
explanation. I mean, if he was so sure that he hit the body, then say it with your chest, baby. Say it with your chest. The ball hit off the body and there's no handball. Yeah. But he just took the easy route. No handball. Let's go. Let's forget about it. Turn the page. No, sir. Not in here.
Oh, man. I mean, like you said, luckily it didn't end up mattering. And I thought the team responded well. The kind of comp I was making was like, when you win 4-1, you can take the high road more than like a Greg Vanney, who after LA's game last week, he was doing the whole thing of like the refs should have to have press conferences like the coaches. Anytime you hear a coach do the refs should have press conferences, that you can probably look at how their team is doing, and it's probably not that good. You win 4-1, Brian Schmetzer can get up there and say, the refs have a hard job. They're not going to get every call right. Proud of the guys for not letting it get to them and closing out the game anyway. But it was mostly just the novelty of how bad a call that was mystifying, Niko. It was mystifying. Before we talk about this upcoming stretch of road games Seattle's got, anything else that you wanted to shout from this St. Louis game? I mean, we hit Nouhou. We obviously hit Ryan Kent. Moose, 4 straight games with a goal. Second hottest number 9 in Major League Soccer at the moment. Am I missing?
I just wanted to add a couple of things. One, I want to congratulate Brian Schmetzer on being 10th in all-time regular season wins.
Yep.
That's a huge accolade and well-deserved.
Stefan
Frei, 400. Absolutely. He was on point when he had to be. Alex Roldan, for me, needs to be praised because, look, Kalani had done enough to,
push him,
in one way or another, make you really uncomfortable that he was going to, if I'm Alex Roldan, that he was going to take the starting spot. And I feel like Alex played like he wanted his starting position back. I thought that he was great on the ball. His passing was outstanding. He created a couple of opportunities that were missed. He hits Musovski with a through ball and puts him in front of goal. And unfortunately, the angle's not there for Musovski, and he ends up being safe. But the goalkeeper, there's a couple of changes of switching the point of attack is something that he does better and more consistently than Kalani because he has more vision. So when we talk about two guys that both are fantastic, I love the competition. And right now you could put either guy and they each have their own strengths, but I was very pleased to see Alex Roldan come out there and say, hey, don't forget about me. Because if he goes out here and has a poor game or has a decent game and is not as influential as he was, you're kind of thinking maybe Kalani should be the guy. But right now it's still anybody's position, in my opinion. They both have shown a lot of great components to their game. So I just have to praise him. Albert Rusnak, too, I feel like he gets a lot of heat. I thought that he was so good at finding the right spots and the quick passing. When I talked to Freddie Juarez on exclusive that you could find on Pulso Sports right now about this game, and we talked tactics, we talked about Kent and Ferreira and Osaze. So go ahead and check that out as well. He talked about the necessity to play short passing and quickly with those triangles that they built and have the third runner be aggressive. All of that was done because you have a guy like Albert Rusnak. And I thought that he was on point the entire game. Maybe not as easy to see as a Ryan Kent or, as a Moose getting in front of the goal or whatever. But if you go back and you look at that game, you see how important it was for just the buildup of the game. And finally, that goal by Moose is not just the assist by Nouhou and the fact that Moose kind of stretches his leg out to corral that pass, turn around, have the awareness to put it where he put it. But that's a 16 pass sequence of the Sounders getting the ball back, taking it all the way to the back, Kim and Yeimar, then you put it through Christian Roldan. I mean, the entirety of it was such a great goal that I feel like it needed to be highlighted. 16 passes sequence before that goal. You just got to applaud what the team did overall.
It's nice to see the depth of this team coming through in the way that we all hoped it would before this season started. We all, a lot of pundits, not just us, highlighted this roster as potentially the deepest in MLS. It didn't look like that in CCC and the first few weeks of the regular season. I think this is what it was supposed to be like. You don't have Jordan Morris or Jesus Ferreira going into this game. Most MLS clubs, when you're looking at absences like that of to carry the load, highly paid star players, you're usually going to see some sort of drop off offensively in this case, with these both being attacking players. And not only was there no drop off, they put in the most dominant performance of the season, and of like that might have been the most dominant attacking performance that an MLS team has had this year in terms of just output, underlying numbers, eye test, everything about it. I think that's all I had. We hit Obed. We hit Christian was fantastic in this game. The dirty work he was doing, tracking back. He's in really good form right now. The double pivot looks really, really good. Kim Ki-hee continues to deputize quite effectively for Jackson Reagan. So again, it's a demonstration of the type of depth that we hope we were going to see this season. They got to sustain it. They got to keep playing like this, and that's what will make it actually mean something, if this is foreshadowing what we're going to see for the rest of the season. But very encouraging stuff. Niko, a couple road games coming up with a little bit of fixture congestion that I think it's worth hitting on here before we get to some CONCACAF Champions Cup takes. You got Houston coming up on Saturday, and then turning right around for LAFC on Wednesday. What are you hoping to see from the team over these couple of games? And is there anything lineup wise that you feel strongly about that they should do, whether it's mixing and matching or rotating or getting someone more minutes? How do you size this stretch up?
You have to rotate. For me, there are two guys that, although things have gone extremely well, need and deserve some time in, and that's JP and Danny Leyva. You got to get them ready for what's coming ahead. I feel like if you're going to use your depth, you need to use it now. A guy like Georgie Manungu, who is clearly in a competition there as well, to not even just be a starter, but just to get into the 18 right now. That's how much depth we have, or that's how much depth the team has and how much talent. So a guy like Georgie, it'd be also nice to see how he does on a game where you start him off and see where he's at right now. I thought De Rosario in this one, although he misses that goal.
That's what I would love for.
I would love to see him again. And what I mean by I love to see him is just because moving forward, everything's great right now. And things have played out. We're coming from a very good game. So the sensations are very high. But the reality is this. There's a very good chance that Jordan Morris either misses the start of the Club World Cup or maybe longer. The 6 to 8 weeks just kind of hits in a certain spot where it's difficult to say if he's going to be available, what form he's going to be in. So I hate to sound like a broken record, but although Danny Musovski is doing fantastic and you got to let him have that temporary spot, you got to figure out a plan B. So De Rosario either getting signed completely with the team, or you hit him on another short loan and try to see how that works out for you. But I feel like there is a need to have a guy like that be rotated in at some point in time. But rotation for me is going to be the key of this 3-game stretch. Houston's a decent team, and I know that Seattle's going to want to get a result. But at Houston, in a short week, I'm okay with putting a very alternative lineup in that one. And then you focus on LAFC and you focus on the Timbers.
Yeah, I don't think, and that's not even like punting for the LAFC game. I think there's guys that you need to keep sharp, get minutes, keep fit. I think the JP Danny Leyva double pivot is a great shout. And I want to see more from De Rosario. I know he missed the sitter, which was about as wide open as it gets, but I think it was good that he got into that spot. You know, you shouted out the 16 pass sequence on the Moose goal. The sequence that led up to the De Rosario chance might have been the best sequence they had all game. I mean, that was champagne footy at its finest, and you wanted that one for him for to get his first MLS goal in that moment. That would have been great for the crowd, and it would have been a great confidence boost for the kid. But I do think, despite the miss, it was encouraging to see him get on the end of a sequence like that. And let's see what the kid's got. He's got great genes. He's in great form in MLS Next Pro. And maybe you have the plan B that you were talking about in this kid. You're not going to find out unless you give him a chance to play. And I think, you know, it's hard to say from the brief cameo that he got, but I did like what I saw on that sequence from him, but really the whole team. I mean, do you have any De Rosario takes or thoughts?
No, just that alone. I feel like he showed his field awareness. I felt like in that play that he misses, it's very easy for a young player to be off sides. He's completely looking at where he's sitting. He comes back. Obviously, he didn't get on the ball as much as he wanted to, but when he was playing off the ball, I was keeping my eye on him, and his spacing was excellent. The pressing for me is big because everybody knows that in Schmetzer ball, everybody needs to do a little bit of everything. But the way that they press as a unit, for me, he was always doing it correctly, right? And maybe this St. Louis team is not going to challenge you so much when it comes to building out of the back. But I thought that he was just energetic enough and engaged enough for me to just want to see more. I think that he's an option. And after talking to Freddie Juarez about how good he's been, and he was excellent in practice this week, we're able to see it firsthand. I think that there's a lot of promise there. He's not the fastest guy, not the biggest guy, but he gets into great positions, and he reads the game extremely well, and he is a finisher. And sometimes you need a finisher, or a lot of times you need a finisher, so why not?
Let's hit a couple of these takes from chat and then talk some CONCACAF Champions Cup before we start wrapping it up here, Niko. Adi says, I've been a bit shocked at how little playing time JP has gotten. He couldn't have fallen off that much, right? He's looked fine from what I've seen this year. My read on it is that JP's lack of playing time isn't necessarily due to form or like a steep decline with the player. I just think this midfield group's pretty hard to break into right now. I mean, you've got Christian and Obed as the, like, no question about it, first choice double pivot. And then what they have done is they've done the JP Danny Leyva double pivot when they've had to rotate. And I guess there just maybe hasn't been as much of an opportunity to deploy that. Although I agree, you know, I haven't really thought about it in a couple weeks, but I feel like JP, when he has gotten on the field this year, has looked pretty good. And honestly, I think we're going to see JP and Danny Leyva play a fair amount in this upcoming stretch here because of the fixture congestion. Niko, you got any sort of different read on JP?
No, I think JP is dying to get in. I feel like he's been really good at practice. Now that we're finally, and for as much as me and Brian Schmetzer bicker, I mean, I always take these moments where we see the game the same way. And look, I'm not the guy that's going to like bore you tactically with things, but I see the game and I read the game very well. And I have no shame in my game to say that. I'll toot my own horn all day. the 4-2-3-1 for me, especially without Jackson Reagan in the build-out, is so much a better fit because you do build out with 6. The way and where those guys, like right now is Christian Roldan, that's coming back to be a main outlet to help you from the back. I think JP can do that even better than Christian, just in that department, just the distribution department. So I think that he needs to be in. I love Christian Roldan, and I have no doubt that he wants to be in every game, every minute, but he's a lot like Ozzy, where you got to protect him from himself. Where it's like, look, Ozzy, you just had an injury. You can't be back out here already. Christian's the same way. He's not injury prone, but he wants to be in every single game. He has the most minutes of any Sounder player right now, 908 minutes. He's started 10 and has played 11. I mean, the dude has got 0 rest. So let's not push it. Let's not overcook him. I would love to see him take a game off and just manage his minutes a little bit because it is a lot for him to take. So when you have a guy like JP that's experienced, that you're going to be able to rely on, that's why you brought him back, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't use him more consistently. However, I mean, I understand that when the team is hot, the team is hot. And if your player and the sports science is backing up that he can be out there, I have no problem. I understand it. But I would like to see JP and Leiva get more time, simply because I am a consistent believer that you need to have certain players in your bench ready to go at a moment's notice. And you can only really do that through getting them competitive minutes consistently. So I would like to see them, especially in this stretch, be used a little bit more.
Niko, when you look at these 2 road games coming up, first at Houston, then short turnaround at LAFC, what are your hopes and expectations, and what do you think would be a successful haul from these 2 games specifically before Portland? The way I kind of see this is, there's 6 points available. If you take 4, win 1, draw 1, I think you take that, considering the fixture congestion and the fact that Houston's historically a pretty difficult place for Seattle to play. It's getting hotter. Mm-hmm. That Texas heat is coming. Yep. So that might be a factor in that game. I kind of always look at a draw at Houston away as fine because of how difficult it's been historically for Seattle to take results in Texas. But if you beat Houston, tie LAFC, or tie Houston, beat LAFC, take 4 out of 6, that would be a successful little road trip pre-Portland to me. What are you hoping to see?
I'm hoping to see 5 out of 6. 5 out of, 9?
So
I think that
in the Portland game.
Yeah, exactly. If I factor in the Portland game, I think that you have enough to, and you got to set the bar higher, in my opinion, for this team coming up for this game with this momentum. Like you mentioned, Houston is a difficult place to play. They're not the most dangerous team. I thought that they kind of had things figured out. But this LAFC game was really disappointing. Watched the whole 90, and I found it hard to fathom a way where the Sounders don't come up with a result, because they are so anemic offensively right now. I thought that with Linger's acquisition, and he's been decent in the first 2 games that he's had, but in this one he was poor. There was no control on the ball. They lack intensity, they lack tempo. So for me, Seattle should and needs to get a result, whether it's a win or is a draw, but they cannot lose this game. When it comes to LAFC, they're so, on and off. LAFC could look like the best team in the league, and they could look like the worst team in the league. So for me, a draw there would be okay as well. Can you put them on their heels? Can you affect the game in a way where you control it? Because they're going to give you possession. They're going to play against the run of play. And, maybe that benefits Seattle. And then the Timbers game, man, that's a huge one. That's the one that you need to win, not just because of the standings, but because of everything that we know that comes together with this rivalry. I, maybe more than most, put a lot of stock on momentum, and a loss to Portland would heavily hurt and hinder the momentum of this team. So for me, that's a huge game for Seattle. So all in all, man, give me 5 and I'm a happy camper. But more than the results, this might get me in trouble. But just the way that you do them. For me right now, I want to see a team that, just like Brian Schmetzer has talked about the standard of Nouhou, I'm going to put the standard of the Sounders. And I want to see consistency in the way they play and the performances that they put together in this 3-game stretch. So aside from the result, I want to see a good performance and a team that's cohesive and knows where they're going.
What do you make of the Portland Timbies right now? You know, they had been in some of the best form in the league for the last, I don't know, month or so, scoring boatloads of goals, looking really dynamic on offense, really basically looking pretty much like the Portland Timbies when they've been at their best forever. They're always the exact same type of team, you know, can score with anyone, really good on the counter, not always solid on defense. But to be fair, they had been playing some good all around ball the last few weeks. And then they go out there this last weekend and get absolutely demolished by the San Jose Earthquakes, 4-1. San Jose has been a good attacking team this year.
Yeah.
They have some of the most goals. They have 24 goals this season. But still, with how the Timbies had been playing, I think you would expect them to not be non-competitive against the San Jose Earthquakes. They're playing Tacoma Defiance at Starfire in the Open Cup tomorrow, and then game at Providence Park in a couple weeks. What do you make of what Phil Neville and company have going on? Are they closer to the team that was balling out for the last 3-4 weeks, or was the San Jose result a sign that they should be on some fraud watch?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I don't know if they're fraud. I think that they know their strengths and they are not careful with their weaknesses. So they are going to go out there and they're going to try to outscore you every single game because they know that their defense is pretty weak. The Achilles heel for this team right now is one that they haven't had in a long time because they have been blessed by Diego Chara. But the midfield is like cutting butter with a knife. I mean, you could just play through the midfield, and Ayala just hasn't been able to do it. They've tried different pairings with Ortiz, and they've moved things around, but they haven't found consistency, and that makes a disbalance of that team. Now, getting forward is no issue. Anthony's a baller. Acosta is a baller. I think that regardless of who's up top, they always have a good scorer, whether it's Jonathan or whether it's Mora, Santiago Moreno. So they just have a lot of offensive power. But when it comes to defense, when it comes especially their fullbacks, man, they just leave so much space. Mosquera is a guy that's fantastic going forward, but defending, man, you and I can probably get a couple of shots on him. So that's the difficult part of this Timbers team, that I wouldn't call them a fraud, but I think that they're a team that has a very easy to see Achilles heel, and you cannot go every game just willing to duke it out and hope that you can outscore the other team, because when you can't get on the ball and you're not being effective, then you're going to get trampled over. And that's what happened with San Jose. DeJuan Jones, just brought in by Bruce Arena, who's just trying to rebuild a whole new New England Revolution here in the West Coast. But he was fantastic, and he's a guy that they needed. He freed Christian Espinosa. He freed Arango. He was able to connect. They were playing with Espinosa as a wingback, and he was working in some sense, but there's a lot of things that you were kind of limiting Espinosa on, and he is by far the most influential player in this team. So in this one, it kind of came together for him, but I don't think it's an indictment on Timbers. I think it's more of a San Jose team that's starting to really put it together.
Niko, let's talk about some CONCACAF Champions Cup before we start the wrap-up process here on this episode of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. Everyone in chat, if you haven't yet, please like the video. And if you're watching and you haven't subbed to the channel, sub to the channel. We are on the road to 2K subscribers here on our channel, which would be a great milestone for us. We're pretty close. We're not that close, but we're getting there. So sub to the channel, like the video. Niko, The last time that we spoke, the Vancouver Whitecaps were ahead 2-0 on aggregate in their CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal series versus Inter Miami. I think we both predicted that they were going to finish the job, but they finished the job even more emphatically than we predicted. You were saying, like, I think they're going to get like the draw done. They're going to get like the classic road result that's not necessarily the greatest result on its own, but it's going to be enough to get the series. I mean, they destroyed Inter Miami again,
Yeah,
in their own building, 3-1, 5-1 on aggregate. Wasn't even a series. Messi and the Barca boys had nothing on the Vancouver Whitecaps, who don't even have Scottish Messi right now. So the Whitecaps are now going to play Cruz Azul in the CCC final. They went out there in their next league game, won again, beat Real Salt Lake 2-1. So apparently they can't be stopped at all right now. But what did you make of just how they closed out that Inter Miami series? Like, not just finishing the job, but punking them in their own building, and really even more than the first leg, I would say. It looked like it looked like what the second half of the Sounders against St. Louis. Like, they were just a step ahead of Inter Miami every step of the way. And Miami got the first goal, but from there it was all Vancouver. What did you make of how that series ended up going?
I think Jesper Sørensen did a fantastic job at getting the team ready mentally. The psychology of soccer is something that not a lot of people put a lot of stock on, but it's a real thing, especially when you're going against a team with so many big name players as Inter Miami. He completely humanized the way that they were going to go into this game. He told his squad, look, it's about what we do better, and we're going to make them run. We're more athletic. We're quicker. We're going to get them going. And that's exactly what he did. This Vancouver team has so much speed in so many places, whether it's Ocampo, whether it's Nelson. They do all the little things right. The dual play by a guy like Pedro Vite, who I don't need to shout out anymore, and Cubas was fantastic. I mean, they completely took Busquets out of the game. They frustrated the very little opportunities that the team Inter Miami had when it came to transition. They exposed the flank so much. It's something that we have been talking about all season long when it came to Inter Miami, whether it's Cello on one side or Jordi on the other. There's a bunch of space to play behind him consistently. And Jesper Sørensen just put that belief in them. And they came out, they were protagonists, they took the game to them. And even when they were down early in this one, they were down early in that game, they had the composure and belief to say, we're going to continue to play our game. And they did it. I thought it was almost hard to believe that Jesper Sørensen went after the game and said, look, I thought we played better today than we did in Vancouver. We were just not rushed. We held the ball where we needed to. We never lost composure. Man, I just think that there is a perfect storm happening in Vancouver of a team that collectively is at an all-time high, a coach that knows what he wants out of his team, knows how to get it out of his team, and has provided a level of confidence that they've never had. They're soaring high because it's a collective, man. And Brian White seems unstoppable, and they seem to have all the right ideas. You saw it right now against RSL. That game should have been 3-1. And this is a team that has not lost a beat. They have the most amount of points in 11 games in MLS history, if I'm not mistaken now. And that's no coincidence. That is a team that is consistently good. And that's why, for me, they will beat Cruz Azul. And they will take it to Cruz Azul. And they will win CCC this year.
I think so, too. I think what they're doing right now is honestly... it's one of the most impressive runs from an MLS club, regardless of what happens in the final. Honestly, just the run they've been on is one of the more impressive runs I've ever seen from an MLS club. When you take into account that it's not like they had like a ton of roster turnover and brought in a bunch of new signings. It's roughly a similar team that they had last year. They're bringing in a new coach who usually in your first year, there's an adaptation period. And then when you throw in how well that they've balanced CCC with their league season, where they're playing at like a 2.3 or 4 points per game pace in the league while dominating in CCC and then absolutely obliterating Messi and the Barca boys. If they see it out, it will be arguably the most impressive run an MLS club has ever had. Jesper Sørensen, I think he's just him. I think he's him. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. But
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I mean, I really am. I didn't think that I could like him because I was such a Vini guy, Sartini guy that I was like, man, you whatever. But this dude, man, he means what he says and says what he means, and I just love it. He's straight up forward up there, you know. And again, the way he humanized this game to me was fantastic. And he just said, "Look, my son has a poster of Lionel Messi," and I told the guys, I was like, "Look, I understand that it's Messi and it's Busquets, it's Alba, but we need to worry about us. This is the way we're going to approach this game, man." And they just put it on Inter Miami, and they exposed them. They made them look old. They made them look slow. Oh man, it's a beauty to see, man. I honestly enjoy a team that can put itself together and overcome star-studded teams, and this is what you're seeing out of Vancouver, man.
Exactly. That's why going into it, I was saying, like, you know, I know people have different schools of thought on if you should like be praising or rooting for a rival. I mean, as far as praising them, like they're what they're doing on the field is you can't really have any other takeaway from it. And I don't think for me, it's like I'm actively rooting for them. But there was a big part of me that was like, just beat Inter Miami. Like, I'll take, like you said, I'll take a team like that over a team that's just like a bunch of stars bought, you know, which I mean, Inter Miami, like I would do the same thing if I was in their situation, but they found out what happens when you go against a real team.
I'm rooting for him, man. I'm rooting for him. I really am. I'll root for him against Inter Miami. I'm going to root for them against Cruz Azul. There's nothing better than a club a fan base that's been so loyal, that has been scared of their minds because there's a potential that they get sold and all these things that they have to deal with. And now they got this core group of guys that are just out there just living it all on the field, and they're giving this fan base this huge moment. I just couldn't be happier for him, and I could not root for him.
One thing that I'm pretty upset about with this CCC final is that Sebastian Berhalter, the best number 8 in Major League Soccer, suspended for yellow card accumulation. I already have complained about this a lot, but I'm going to take this opportunity to complain about it again. The 2 yellows in a series being a suspension policy from CONCACAF is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. There's no reason that 2 separate yellow cards in 2 separate games, even if in the same series, should result in a suspension. If you get a red card, that is what results in a suspension, not 1 yellow card in one game and another yellow card in another. There's no, like, I had people in a chat when I was complaining about this last time, like, well, if you think about it, no, there's no rationale for that policy. It's just a stupid policy, and it's robbing us. It's robbing us all of getting to see the best number 8 in Major League Soccer, Sebastian Berhalter, play in a CCC final. I still think they're going to win. With this team right now, it doesn't seem to matter who's on the field. Like, they win 3-1. So I don't think it's a situation where it's going to be result defining. It just sucks because he is one of the most fun players in the league to watch right now. This would be a great showcase for him. And it's just stupid. There's no reason at all that he should be suspended. One of them was a time wasting yellow. What are we doing?
It's tough, but I mean, look, it's the way of the world. And if anything, Vancouver has enough of an identity and a depth to manage that. But I'm with you. It sucks not to see a player like that and have 2 teams at their complete full capability go at it in the final. So it is tough, but you know, it is the way of the world. What I will say is that Cruz Azul himself, they haven't looked impressive, and they have some injuries, some issues as well. So if anything, it'll balance out. And we're talking about almost a month, if I'm not mistaken. It's almost a month when that game's going to happen, it's going to be interesting what happened if Rand Gold might be able to be back, or if he's back and if he's available for that particular game. So we'll see. Maybe you lost Berhalter, but you gained your playmaker. So we'll see how that plays out.
I didn't watch the Cruz Azul Tigres series, but from what you've said and what I've kind of gleaned, it sounds like it was two mid teams just going at it. They had a little mid off, and now they got to play the Cruz Azul's got to play the buzzsaw that is the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, did you come out of their second leg feeling any different about it, or was it just two mid teams?
No, it is. Look, man, I hate to just call them a mid team, but let's just say that they're not playing to their optimal potential. Both of the legs were very physical and sloppy, and although Cruz Azul to me was the better team in both, and they controlled the tempo in both, and they have more possession of the ball, they win this one late. I thought it was going to go into Piquez for a second, and I think a lot of it has to do with there's been a bit of a rotating door in their attacking end. I feel like they depend a lot on Rotondi, and depending on if he gets pinned back, because he does have defensive necessities for the team, they are really unbalanced on their attack. And it takes them a while to get from point A to point B. I also feel like they have digressed on their build out with Dita, who he's had a couple of really bad games. So Vancouver might not be the highest pressing team, but they're an effective pressing team. So when I look at it and I see the strengths of both teams, Vancouver, for me, I don't want to jinx them, but they might have an easier game than they're expecting because of some of the issues that Cruz Azul currently has. So take it for what it is, believe me or not, but I'm all in on Vancouver. I think that they're going to be able to win this one, and I think they'll win it dominantly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel pretty much the same way. You never know what's going to happen, but that's definitely the vibe that I got right now. Do we know if CONCACAF is doing a neutral stadium or is Cruz Azul hosting? I don't know. Niko, do you know that?
Cruz Azul is hosting.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, how do they decide that?
It was the way of the tournament. If they drew, it was going to be if it would have gone to PKs, it would have gone to Vancouver. But because of the wins throughout the tournament, I think that's the way they determine it. But long story short, it was decided by the result. Like I said, if they would have gone to PKs, it would have been in Vancouver. If either Mexican team won, it was going to be in Mexico. So they're going to host at Estadio Olímpico.
I don't know about that. It seems a little shady to me. The CONCACAF oligarchs are clearly trying to sabotage the Vancouver Whitecaps. They're not letting them host. They're taking away Sebastian Berhalter. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. They want the Liga MX team to win. That's fine. That's it's not going to work. You can't contain the Vancouver Whitecaps even without Sebastian Berhalter. It's apparently
you can't contain fate.
Yeah, exactly. Good stat from James here. Most important news with their 1-0 win last night, Sporting KC became the first team in MLS history to win a game without attempting a single shot in the contest. I don't know if you saw that, Niko, but
I did not watch that.
I didn't watch it, but I looked at the stats at halftime, and the XG was so SKC was up 1-0, and the XG was 0.00 for Sporting KC and 0.45 for the Galaxy, and SKC was leading on an own goal. So that's how they had 0 XG with a goal, and then they never took a shot again in the match, and then they won, and they ended up winning 1-0. So that was a really great Sunday night soccer showcase for the MLS casuals, electric stuff, and the Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts ekes out a 1-0 over.
Yeah, it's in my to-do list to watch that game. I ended up watching the Columbus Charlotte, the San Jose Portland, the Vancouver RSL, of course, and then the Sounders. So I got a fifth one. I'll probably end up watching that one just to giggle at it, because I mean it's probably going to be boring as hell, but I feel like I need to just for this two Western Conference teams that, might be hilarious to watch.
First team in MLS history to win
That's
a game
wild.
without attempting a single shot. Soccer is a funny game sometime. Niko, before we get out of here, anything else that you wanted to hit, either Sounders wise or league wide? There's a couple other results out there that caught the eye. I mean, Inter Miami, they bounced back in a big way. They slammed the Red Bulls 4-1. But I think that that kind of underscores like how impressive the Vancouver result was. I mean, they made Inter Miami look not as good as we all thought, but Inter Miami is still one of the best teams in the league. I think they're still a top 2 team, at least in the East. Columbus is up there, but they got right. But actually, here's what I'll hit on with this. Did you see the whole thing with like Messi's reaction after that game? Did you see any of that?
Mm-mm.
So he did he score? Hold on. I got to make sure I got.
Yeah, he scored the last goal.
He scored, didn't really celebrate, didn't look happy. Then the game ended. They won 4-1, and he didn't like shake anyone's hand or yuck it up with anyone after the game.
Really?
Straight to the locker room, stone-faced, didn't look happy at all. I think the way that Champions Cup series went is still eating at him. And just in general, like the absolute number one priority in that organization is specifically keeping that guy happy. I mean, they've hired the entire staff that they've hired since he got there is like his extended social group. His boy is the coach. His boy is the sporting director. All his boys are on the team. If he's not happy, I mean, that is not good for them. That's not good.
Yeah, no, that's tough. That's job number one, is keeping him happy. So whatever it is, this team has undershot either way. It's about titles, and the Shield is just a consolation prize, in my opinion. So for me, I know that, the Leagues Cup was fantastic when he first came in, but he came in here for multiples. And I thought that he saw himself doing that, and it hasn't equated. And that's why he's probably pretty obsessed, pretty frustrated. And look, they beat a Red Bulls team that, they kind of beat themselves, to be quite frank, in this one. But at the end of the day, Lionel Messi probably has a lot of pressure within himself that he wants to prove that, he's the ultimate soccer player, I guess. In terms of the scores of the weekend, there was 2 that I wanted to just touch on, and it was just Minnesota just showed you that putting $30 million into your offense in terms of Austin doesn't equate to goals. 3-0. Austin looked awful, and Minnesota just beat the brakes off of Austin. Same thing as San Diego and Dallas. San Diego gets a get-right game, 5-0 over Dallas, who we will see in this stretch of road games at some point. Oh, no, they'll be here. They'll be home. After the stretch of 3 games, road trips, it'll be a home game against Dallas. But, San Diego gets it right. They're still a fun team. That's a team we will see as well here moving forward.
It's a good point about Austin FC. I've been talking about Atlanta United the last couple weeks because I Schadenfreude follow all of their struggles quite closely, and they also poured $30 million into their attack and are off to the worst start in club history. Austin FC, similar idea. They went big on the transfer fees in the offseason. And even when they were taking some results earlier in the season, it was not because they were scoring goals. So yeah, it's another interesting one. It's another example that just throwing money at the problem isn't always going to fix it. We're seeing it with Atlanta. We've seen it a lot with Toronto. We're seeing it with Austin. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Whitecaps are the greatest team that we've ever seen. So go figure. Niko, I did want to circle back, get your take, Inter Miami related take. Why do you think it is that they have underachieved as much as they have in terms of like the overall trophy haul? I don't think there's any debate that when Messi and the Barca boys are at their apex, the footy that they play is excellent. And I don't even want to downplay that they won the Shield and set the points record. That's a great accomplishment for any team. Whatever you think of Leagues Cup, they had an impressive performance in that tournament to win it. But there's also no question about it that when you look at their total trophy case for the amount of time they've had this version of their team together, I would be disappointed by it if I was a fan of their team. And really, when you look at how they've played at their top level, it's kind of surprising that they haven't been able to finish the job in at least a couple of these situations. What do you think it is that is it just unlucky, or are they just like not up to the moment? Like, why?
I think they missed. They missed their chance, and this team was always going to have a very short window to be extremely successful because of the age of the team and because of the relevance of certain players. The fact that they were bounced out by Atlanta completely dismantled that team. It was a hit to the organization that they might not get over. And for me, that was the start of the decline for this team. They completely broke everything apart. They gave up Diego Gomez. They moved Campana. And look, they have a very good squad right now. I'm not saying that they don't, because they have the capability. But you moved away from that group that, like you said, basically the hardest, although it's a consolation prize, because for me, if you don't get the league, you don't get anything. But the hardest trophy to get is the Shield, because you have to be consistent the entire year, which is not easy. And they did that with that particular group of players. But then they were outperformed, or they just couldn't get past Atlanta. And that, to me, was just too much of a hit for the organization to take. Chris Henderson's gone. A whole bunch of things have moved on. I think Jorge Mas is a guy that's way too involved in the management side. And I think this specific group right now is starting to feel some of those that age. Look, Suarez this year doesn't look like Suarez of last year. He just tried to clear the fence, or the what is it called? The little things behind the goal when he celebrates, and he ends up hitting himself really hard because he can barely get over it. I mean, he just looks a lot older. Messi looks a little bit frustrated with everything. I feel like they let guys go that were big influential guys that they haven't replaced. Matias Rojas, Diego Gomez, a whole bunch of guys that were a big part of this group. So I just think it's a lot of things come together. But all in all, for me, the window of success for this team was going to be very short. And I like to say that it might have closed already.
It looks like it low-key might have, because the thing about the Whitecaps series is it's like you are going against the greatest team we've ever seen, apparently, but to be kind of non-competitive. Like, there was a brief window in that series where Jordi Alba scored the goal to cut it to 2-1, but outside of that series was all Vancouver. They looked so far off the level, like in a way that I would be pretty alarmed if I were them, because they're the team that's supposed to be far surpassing the other team's levels. They're not supposed to get run like that by anybody. And the fact that they did, Messi looks frustrated. I think the vibes are tenuous down there. The vibes are tenuous for Messi and the Barca boys. I'm not even that anti-Messi and the Barca boys. When they, like I said, their top level is some of the best footy I've ever seen played in the league. Like for them, like how Seattle looked in the second half against St. Louis, that was like every game for them for a long time. For that season where they set the points record and set the Shield, that's literally what it looked like every time they were on the ball every week for like pretty much the whole season. So that was great for them. But if the final haul they get from that is a Shield and a Leagues Cup, I wouldn't say it's a failure, but it's definitely a pretty big disappointment. Be a pretty big disappointment.
And I think the reason why Messi's so frustrated is because, and I said this from the very beginning, it's a lot easier to win a tournament that in 6 games you're in a final, rather than a league that you need to be either good the entirety of the year and then go to the playoffs and perform. So by him being kicked out of the semis, I think, quite honestly, it made him realize that there's a possibility that he goes this whole year without winning anything. And maybe even a Leagues Cup might not be good enough for him. And unless he's thinking that they're going to win Club World Cup, which I seriously doubt, it's not looking good for Miami to get a trophy this year.
Niko, let's call it right there for this episode of Lobbing Scorchers Kickoff. Another great one. Thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning in. Please, there's still 100 or so of you in here. Every single one of you, like the video. Let's get this to triple-digit likes. I want to see triple-digit likes on this episode, and sub to the channel, and follow us on Instagram, and like, comment, subscribe, write us reviews, all that. Niko, before we get out of here, do you have anything coming up that you wanted to plug that you're working on for Pulso, Sounder at Heart, or anything else?
Just make sure, obviously, you check Pulso Sports for all of our content on YouTube. Our Thursdays, Soccer Down Here, 7:30 to 8:15. Go ahead and check that out as well. Lots of fun MLS talk, and of course, always the best information and the best podcast in the Sounder at Heart podcast network. On Fridays, we're going to, as always, do what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. We might have a interesting guest in this one, so go ahead and check that out. But make sure, man, you subscribe, you like. You know what? If you guys like this video right now, I might, if there's enough of you, I might bring a little something that we could like raffle or something with people that like this video or something.
Yeah, triple digits. Niko's hosting a raffle. You heard it here. Derek Richards, thank you for the $3 super sticker to close it out. You the man. Appreciate you. Tacoma Defiance versus Portland Timbies, US Open Cup at Starfire tomorrow. Noah and I are going out there. We're gonna have Jeremiah and a special guest. Niko, are you rolling?
I'll be rolling, man. I'll be there.
Right. We'll get you on as well. The whole gang is going to be there. Last time we were out there, it was super fun. I love getting to meet you all in IRL, hang out. So definitely, if you got no plans for your Tuesday night tomorrow night, come out to Starfire. We'll be there with friends and special guests, and then I'll also be back at it on Thursday for Under the Lights, 7:30 Pacific time. And Noah and I also have a dub pod to lay down. So lots of content coming your way this week, including tomorrow's live show. So see you all out there. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
Lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV. Please, don't let the oligarchs win.